Okay, so today is August the 14th, 2019. Today's video is going to be about remakes. Not necessarily remakes. I think that's the wrong phrasing to use. I think it will constitute as not reboots necessarily. Reboots of old properties. Okay, so for example, Shazam will probably be the best example of that. Um, I think because Hollywood is extremely lazy now, and they clearly don't want to make new material. Since they don't want to, sit down and actually be creative. I got a lot of properties, well, not a lot, but a few that I'm going to real quick that I feel like would be perfect movies that will make them, because it's all about money. So these movies will make them an ignorant amount of money. And the first part is going to be, I'm going to start with the best first. The first one, in my opinion, would obviously be Disney's Gargoyles. They already own it. For those of you who don't know, Gargoyles was a cartoon that Disney released for their afternoon lineup in about, I want to say the mid 90s. Right around the time they came out one Saturday morning. No. It was about the mid 90s. I want to honestly say probably about 93. I probably should have probably researched that. I want to say about 93. So Gargoyles is a show about, obviously Gargoyles. There are these creatures that during the day are statues, but at night they come alive and have, they have wings and tail. They look them up. They're pretty interesting. The design of them was great. Their leader was called Goliath. He's voiced by the same guy that does the voice of the Arbiter from Halo. He's in a lot of voices throughout his career. Spawn animated series, so on and so forth. He was in Something About Mary. He was a dad at the first part. He's a stepdad. The black guy. He's a stepdad at the beginning. He does the voice of Goliath. Just a great show. So I think Gargoyles definitely, just from a marketing standpoint, would make a lot of money. You figure you make it PG-13, stick with the script. It takes place in New York, so that'd be awesome. Because you got the skyscrapers and stuff like that. The villain they have, Xanatos, is like this Lex Luthor type guy. This mogul. Perfect. Boom. I guarantee $1 billion. Especially with the creative team they got over at Disney now with the Russo brothers. You give them that property, you got at least 3 films right there. Next is going to be a film that's been rumored to be in production for a while but hasn't yet come to fruition. Is Thundercats. In the 80s alone, I'm going to just rattle off 3 80s cartoons right now that I feel like would make either $1 billion just domestically alone, not to say globally. Thundercats, if done CGI style, how they did Lion King, brilliant. It would be the perfect movie. It would take place on Third Earth. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Thundercat lore, they came from the planet Thundera. I know, real original writing. They came from the planet Thundera. Their planet was under siege by the mutants, which were like this race of mutants. Jackalmen, Lizardmen. It's like everything had their whatever the animal was, and then man behind it because they stood upright. So the planet got destroyed. They had to leave. They all go on a cryogenic freeze. Their ship is damaged, so the life support system. Somebody has to pilot the ship because the nearest inhabitable planet is Third Earth. Is so far away that Jaga, who was their leader at first, he decides to sacrifice himself to pilot the ship so he can't go on the cryo freeze for the trip. Lionel, who was a cub at the time, his cryo tube is damaged, so he still ages the regular way he would have, but he still has the mind of a child. So he's like a 9-year-old stuck in like a 19-year-old grown man's body by the time he comes out. It's a really interesting movie. So you got that. So that's $1 billion. Next, Silverhawks. Silverhawks, I feel like, is one of those properties where it makes so much damn sense to make it into a live action movie. It's almost stupid. Silverhawks, again, takes place in the same universe as Thundercats. In fact, in later incarnations of Thundercats, you see the bad guy from Silverhawks, who's Moonstar. He's a mobster, because that's what the big thing was in the 80s. He's a mobster. But you got so many different characters he has. Mumbo Jumbo, who's this giant ox-looking creature. Giant bison-looking creature, I'm sorry. You got Mumbo Jumbo. You got a guy that rewinds time. several characters he had were great. And then the Silverhawks, of course, you have, the main character, I forget his name at the time. Oh, I'm going to get murdered on the internet because I literally forgot his name. I know Copper Kid was one of them. Steel Will and Steel Heart were the twins. And Telehawk obviously was their mechanical hawk. But, and Bluegrass. Bluegrass is their pilot. But that show alone, just from merchandising, with $1 billion. Next is going to be Cops, which is also an 80s show, which takes place somewhat in a distant future where cops have like augmentations to help them fight crime because the mobsters have augmentations to fight crime. But I feel like those would be, Cops alone would make a lot of money because it's just a good movie. You get kind of crazy with it as far as the CGI went because, like I said, it takes place in the future. But if you hear my kid in the background, I apologize. But no, I honestly feel like those would be great properties. And it's a treasure trove of properties from the 80s alone that would make them money. Because that's the end game, is money. But definitely Gargoyles, Lion King, Silverhawks, not Lion King, oof. They already did that, and they already made $1 billion. Gargoyles, Silverhawks, Thundercats, Cops, to a lesser extent Mask, maybe Captain Power. Captain Power was another one of those shows where it was like interactive. Like if you had the Captain Power gun or toy set, it interacted with the television show when you watched it. It was pretty dope. Pretty ahead of its time, to be honest with you. But they had a lot of good shows in the 80s. The 80s was really creative. Probably because of all the cocaine they were on. But they were really creative. I mean, not with the names, because Lion-O was a lion. Panthro was a panther. Okay, let's cast Thundercats real quick. I'm going to try to make this video in under 8 minutes. Let's cast Thundercats real quick. Thundercats give me Idris Elba as Panthro, obvious choice. As Lion-O, give me... Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to think about this one. All right, that'll be a different video. We'll do a cast of Thundercats a different video. But Idris Elba jumps to my brain first for Lion-O. And... it's so many characters in that movie. Because it's going to be CGI, but you can base, motion capture and stuff like that. I feel like Idris Elba would be a perfect Panthro. Voice-wise. And look-wise. Like, if you want to make it even how they did Cats almost, but like less creepy looking, that'd be perfect. But that's my thoughts on that. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm throwing a blank. Matt from Australia. I saw your comment. Appreciate the love. To everybody else who's watching the videos, I appreciate it. Continue to show support, and I will continue to make them. So, peace and love.
Oh, baby, you are so talented, and they are so dumb.